The humans didn't plan this. Their ship hurtled through the alien atmosphere, engines screaming, sparks flying, and then, smash. They crash land on a planet no human has ever seen. Strange rocks, an orange sky, and in the distance, neon lights. A bar. A deadly, chaotic bar where the galaxy's most dangerous creatures gather. They stumble inside, and every alien stares. Multi-eyed lizards, winged monsters, hulking beasts, they're outnumbered, outmatched, and completely unprepared. But humans aren't like other species. When chaos erupts, tables spinning, drinks exploding, claws swiping, they survive. Not by strength. Not by brute force. By cunning, courage, and pure unpredictability. Tonight, humans crash into the deadliest bar in the galaxy. And tonight, they will either survive, or be remembered as a warning to every alien in the universe. The spaceship Orion Hawk shuddered violently as it pierced the planet's atmosphere. Sparks showered across the hull, and the warning sirens screamed a high-pitched alarm. Captain Liam Rourke slammed his hands on the console, twisting knobs and punching buttons, but the ship didn't respond. A final shudder rattled the cabin as the landing gear tore through the rocky surface. With a deafening crunch, the ship skidded across the jagged ground and came to a screeching halt. Smoke curled from the engines, and the interior lights flickered like dying stars. "Everyone okay?" Liam shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. A few muffled groans answered. Beside him, Rosa Venn, the ship's engineer, scrambled to help a crewmate whose leg was pinned under a fallen console. Sparks sprayed dangerously close, and Liam grabbed her arm. "Come on. Move." Outside, the air was thick and heavy, smelling faintly of ozone and burning metal. Jagged rock formations rose like the teeth of some ancient predator, and a strange orange sky stretched endlessly above. But something else caught Liam's eye, neon lights, flickering and moving across the distant horizon. "Neon, buildings," he whispered. "Looks like a city," Rosa replied, brushing soot from her hair. Her eyes widened as she scanned the skyline. A bar. "That's a bar." Sure enough, among the flickering lights, a large building pulsed with vivid green and purple neon signs, and a crowd of creatures moved inside. The bar was called the Cosmic Tankard, the letters shifting and glowing as if alive. Steam and strange-colored smoke spiraled from its vents, giving it the appearance of a living, breathing organism. Before anyone could stop them, Liam and Rosa sprinted toward it. The humans stumbled over rocks and twisted metal, their boots clanging against alien debris. Their curiosity outweighed caution. They had landed on a strange planet, and this bar looked like the heartbeat of the local population. The doors slid open with a hiss as they entered. The inside was like nothing they had ever seen. Tables floated a few inches off the ground, glowing drinks shimmered with colors Liam couldn't name, and the walls pulsed with shifting lights that seemed almost alive. The air vibrated with alien music, a deep, bassy rhythm that rattled their bones. Every head turned. And there were a lot of heads. Multi-eyed lizards, winged beings, creatures with translucent skin showing glowing veins. Some had 6 arms, others had horns curling backward like twisted metal. All of them stared at the humans like they were lab rats who had wandered into the wrong experiment. Hi. Liam said, his voice shaking. He waved awkwardly. One of the multi-eyed lizards blinked slowly and hissed. Another, a tall silver-feathered alien with eyes like polished opal, leaned over the bar, its claws tapping rhythmically. It let out a sound that might have been laughter, or a threat. Rosa swallowed hard. Maybe we shouldn't be here. But curiosity and the need for shelter pushed them forward. Liam raised a hand toward the bartender. "Drinks, please." The alien bartender's head tilted in amusement. Its feathers shimmered, reflecting the neon lights. With a voice that sounded like grinding stones, it said, "You dare enter? Drinks? You do not belong here." Before Liam could respond, a group of hulking aliens blocked the human's path. Their bodies were thick and muscular, covered in armor-like scales. One of them extended a clawed hand and growled a sound so deep it shook the floor. The humans froze. Survival instinct kicked in, but they had no weapons except tools and their wits. Suddenly, a smaller alien, clever-looking with 6 limbs and glowing eyes, slid a holographic game across the nearest table toward them. Liam picked it up out of nervous curiosity. His fingers brushed the buttons, and the bar exploded into chaos. Lights flashed, some tables spun wildly, and floating glasses crashed to the floor, shattering into sparkling fragments. Aliens shouted, some shape-shifting, some levitating objects to block the humans. Rosa Dove, grabbing Liam's arm. Step back. Liam barely had time to react as a group of winged creatures swooped down, attempting to corral them. The humans stumbled over each other, their feet sliding on the glossy, glowing floor. Drinks that seemed harmless seconds ago turned into small explosions of colored smoke as they tipped over. Through it all, Liam caught a glimpse of the crowd's reaction. Some aliens were furious, teeth bared and claws raised. Others were curious, eyes tracking every movement with strange fascination. The humans were not just intruders, they were unpredictable. Rosa ducked under a floating chair, rolling behind a table. "We need a plan," she yelled. Liam looked around, heart pounding. They had none. But instinct took over. He grabbed a small repair tool from his belt, something meant for fixing circuits, and spun it like a baton, deflecting a claw that swung toward his head. Sparks flew as metal met alien armor. The bar was alive with motion. Floating tables collided, alien patrons shouted, and the music shifted into a chaotic, faster rhythm. Liam realized something astonishing: they were surviving, not because they had power, but because they were unpredictable. Rosa noticed it too. "They don't know what we are, yet," she whispered. "If we stay clever, maybe we can get through this." And then, from the far end of the bar, a shadow detached itself from the crowd. A towering alien, twice the height of any other in the room, with horns that glinted in neon light and eyes like molten metal, walked toward them. The room fell silent, and even the music dimmed for a moment. Liam swallowed. This was the true test. Not just survival, but respect. And in this strange, chaotic, neon-lit bar, humans had stumbled into a world that would judge them in seconds, or destroy them. Rosa adjusted her grip on the tool, her jaw tight. "We adapt. Or we die." The alien approached, its claws scraping the floor. A ripple of tension spread across the bar, and every patron's gaze followed the humans. They were no longer just visitors, they were the story everyone would remember tonight. And for the first time, Liam felt a thrill. Not fear. A thrill. Because humans didn't just survive. Humans fought back. The towering alien stopped a few feet away, its molten eyes fixed on Liam and Rosa. The air was thick with tension, almost solid, and every alien in the cosmic tankard waited, silent but ready to pounce. Liam swallowed hard, his heart hammering, and glanced at Rosa. She gave a slight nod, they were on their own now. Hi," Liam said again, voice shaking, but this time with more resolve. He raised his hands slowly, trying to appear non-threatening. The alien's lips, or what passed for lips, curved upward in a twisted smile. It tilted its massive head, as if curious about these strange, fragile creatures in front of it. Rosa stepped forward, her hand brushing against a floating drink that shimmered in impossible colors. We don't mean any trouble," she said. Her voice sounded almost tiny in the huge, alien room. The towering alien let out a guttural sound that echoed like rolling boulders. Then, unexpectedly, it turned and gestured toward the bar. The humans followed cautiously, trying not to trip over floating tables or curious creatures that stared at their every move. At the bar, the silver-feathered bartender's eyes gleamed with amusement. He slid a tray toward them, filled with small, glowing orbs floating above the surface. "Drink," it said, voice grinding like metal on metal. You will learn, quickly. Liam picked one orb up, hesitating. It floated between his fingers, warm and pulsing. He sniffed it. It smelled like electricity and burnt sugar. He tilted it to drink, and a jolt of electricity ran up his arm. He yelped and dropped it. The orb rolled across the floor, bouncing harmlessly before floating back to the tray. Rosa couldn't stop a laugh. Maybe, don't drink that one, she muttered, eyes scanning the room. There's no manual for this. The bar's patrons reacted immediately. A group of lizard-like creatures with multiple eyes leaned forward, tongues flicking, studying the humans as if trying to read their minds. Some wings flared, some claws tapped impatiently. Every movement from Liam or Rosa drew sharp attention. Then, from the corner, a small alien approached, a six-limbed, sleek, violet-skinned creature with glowing eyes. It smiled faintly and offered a holographic game. Rosa instinctively grabbed it. The moment she touched the device, tiny lights flickered across the floor. The bar reacted. Tables floated faster, lights pulsed, and one alien chair spun and grazed Liam's shoulder. Rosa! Liam shouted. Stop! She froze, realizing her mistake. She hadn't done anything on purpose, but the alien patrons saw chaos. A low growl rose from the nearest hulking creature, the one with thick scales from earlier. Its claws scraped the floor as it stepped closer. You dare disrupt the tankard, it hissed, each word like grinding stone. Liam felt the vibration through his chest. The alien was massive, easily 3 times their size, and its stance radiated power. Rosa's mind raced. We're humans. We mean no harm. We're explorers. The aliens didn't understand her words. Only the gestures and expressions mattered. She held her hands up, tried to bow respectfully, and slowly backed away. The hulking alien paused, studying her carefully. A sudden, sharp noise split the air, a glass floating above their heads shattered, spraying glowing liquid across the bar. The music turned into a chaotic rhythm, faster and louder. Humans and aliens alike ducked or jumped. Liam grabbed Rosa and yanked her behind a floating table. This is insane. Liam shouted, adrenaline burning in his veins. How do we survive this? Rosa glanced around. Even in the chaos, some aliens weren't attacking, they were curious, their multi-eyed faces following every move. One of the winged creatures tilted its head, studying them with faint amusement. Maybe not everyone wanted them gone. Then, something unexpected happened. Liam, frustrated and panicked, grabbed a small tool from his belt, a universal repair device. He spun it instinctively and accidentally knocked a hovering drink tray off balance. One glowing orb hit a wall, bounced, and then shot toward a hulking alien. The orb exploded in a harmless burst of colored sparks, but the effect was immediate. The alien stumbled back, surprised. The bar erupted into gasps and murmurs. Humans had done something the aliens didn't expect. Rosa noticed it instantly. They're impressed. Or at least, surprised. That's our chance. She waved the tool, making small, controlled movements. The smaller aliens began mimicking her motions, almost as if testing her. Liam nodded, catching on. We don't fight like them, he whispered. We fight differently. We confuse, distract, survive. The bar had quieted just enough for a moment. Liam and Rosa realized that chaos could be their ally. Humans weren't physically stronger than aliens, they were unpredictable, clever, and fast-thinking. A shadow fell over them. It was Krathok, the towering alien from Part 1, stepping forward with deliberate authority. Every patron froze, the music dimmed, and even the floating lights seemed to hold their glow in suspense. His molten eyes bore into the humans. You survived the floor, the drinks, the chaos, he said slowly, his deep voice vibrating the bar. Yet, you stand. Curious. Clever. But not safe. Not yet. Liam swallowed. We're just trying to live, he said. Krathok's horned head tilted slightly. He seemed amused. Live, yes. But this tankard, it tests. It judges. Will you pass? Rosa clenched her jaw. We'll do whatever it takes. The alien studied them a moment longer, then stepped back, gesturing toward the central arena of the bar, where challenges and duels often happened. Humans followed cautiously, adrenaline still roaring. Around them, whispers spread among the patrons, they are strange, but they survive. The humans had entered the alien world as intruders, but already they were being noticed, not just as prey, but as something else. Something unusual. Something dangerous in its own human way. Liam glanced at Rosa. We have to keep moving. We have to learn fast. Otherwise. Rosa didn't finish the sentence. They both knew what would happen if humans failed in the cosmic tankard. The bar was not just a place for drinks, it was a test of skill, wit, and survival. And humans were about to find out that they would need everything they had, and more, to navigate this chaotic, alien battlefield. And somewhere deep inside both of them, a thrill stirred. Humans didn't just survive, they adapted. And maybe, just maybe, they could turn this chaos into victory. The humans had barely taken a step into the central arena of the cosmic tankard when chaos struck again. A table hovering mid-air tilted violently, spilling a swirl of glowing liquids that hissed and fumed across the floor. One alien yelped as the vapor tickled its translucent skin. Humans froze in place, but it was too late, the patrons were fully alert now, all eyes on them. Great, Liam muttered under his breath, ducking as a floating chair spun toward him. Just, great. Rosa grabbed his arm, dragging him behind another levitating table. We can't panic, she hissed. We need to figure out the rules, fast. But rules were the last thing the humans had. The bar was alive with motion, color, and noise. Multi-eyed lizards hissed, six-limbed creatures shifted and hovered, and winged aliens flapped impatiently overhead. Every movement from the humans sparked ripples of reaction, and soon the arena felt like a storm about to break. Then came the holographic games. The small violet-skinned alien from Part 2 had returned, sliding a strange device toward the humans with a smile that suggested mischief. Liam, out of curiosity, pressed a glowing button, and the bar erupted into full chaos. Lights flashed, tables collided, and hovering drinks spun like miniature planets. Aliens shouted, some shape-shifting into terrifying forms, others levitating objects to block the humans. Rosa yelped as a glass narrowly missed her head, shattering against the wall with a sound like crystal thunder. This is insane, she shouted, diving to the floor. We're going to get killed. Liam gritted his teeth. We survive. That's the only option. Even as the bar roared around them, something remarkable happened. Humans were adaptable, unpredictable, and fast-thinking. Liam grabbed a small repair tool from his belt, just something to fix circuits, and tossed it with precision at a spinning alien tray. It hit perfectly, deflecting a claw aimed at him and causing a chain reaction. A drink spilled on the wrong alien, triggering an explosion of colored smoke. The creature squealed, retreating in surprise. Did you see that? Rosa gasped. We can fight without fighting. For the first time, some of the aliens paused, watching the humans not with hostility, but with curiosity. Chaos had turned into a weapon. Humans could survive by being unpredictable, confusing their alien opponents. But the arena wasn't done testing them. A hulking alien stepped forward, a four-armed brute with glinting scales and claws like curved blades. It roared, a sound so deep it rattled the floating tables. Enough games, it growled, stomping the floor. Humans froze. This was no longer an experiment or curiosity. This was direct confrontation. Liam whispered to Rosa, "We need to think, fast." Rosa's eyes darted around. She spotted a stack of floating chairs. "Cover me," she said. She grabbed one, swinging it like a shield, deflecting a swipe from one of the brute's claws. Sparks flew as metal met alien armor. The bar erupted in cheers, or maybe confusion, from the onlookers. "Focus on distraction," Liam shouted. He kicked a glowing orb toward a cluster of aliens, creating a small explosion that sent them scattering. They weren't strong, not physically, but humans were clever, fast, and unpredictable. The smaller aliens began mimicking their moves, intrigued by their style. "Look at them," one hissed. "They are strange, but clever." Then came the unexpected twist. The violet-skinned alien flicked a holographic button, and a giant circular platform rose from the floor in the center of the arena. Spotlights glimmered from above. It was clear, the humans were being invited, or forced, into a duel. Liam's stomach sank. A duel? We don't even know the rules. Rosa's jaw tightened. Does it matter? We improvise. We survive. That's all that matters. Krathok, the towering horned alien, stepped onto the platform, his molten eyes fixed on the humans. "You survive by wit," he said, voice echoing like rolling metal. "But here, cleverness alone will not suffice. Adapt, or fall." Liam glanced at Rosa. "We can do this. We have to." The duel began. The platform shifted under their feet, and gravity changed unpredictably. One moment, they were pulled toward the center, the next, they floated upward, forcing them to grab onto hovering rails. The aliens on the sidelines cheered, some flapping, some hovering, others shape-shifting to get a better view. Liam spotted a panel on the platform edge. He ripped it open, revealing wires and circuits. "Maybe we can hack this," he muttered. Rosa nodded. "Worth a try." They worked quickly, using small tools to reroute the platform's energy. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the aliens watching leaned forward in fascination. Humans were turning chaos into an advantage. Then the hulking brute lunged. Rosa rolled, sending a small floating panel flying into the alien's path. It tripped, sprawling across the floor. The audience gasped, some cheering, some growling in surprise. Humans were surviving. Humans were winning. Krathok's eyes narrowed, but he didn't interfere, yet. He seemed curious. Humans were something new. Something unpredictable. Something worth watching. Finally, after a series of narrow dodges, clever tricks, and daring moves, Liam and Rosa reached the edge of the platform. They had survived the first test, proving their wits and reflexes in a bar full of creatures far stronger and faster than themselves. Rosa panted, brushing off sparks. I can't believe we made it." Liam shook his head, a grin breaking through the tension. "We did make it. And you know what? They're curious now. That's half the battle." Krathok stepped forward, voice calm but filled with power. "You survive chaos, you survive attack, but now, the real test begins. Not just for survival, but for respect. Are you ready?" Humans glanced at each other. Their hands were cut, clothes scorched, and adrenaline still pumped through every vein, but the fire in their eyes burned brighter than ever. Rosa nodded, gripping her tool. "We adapt. We survive. And we win, our way." The crowd of aliens erupted in murmurs, whispers, and excited chatter. Some were curious, some doubtful, but one thing was clear, humans had made their mark in the cosmic tankard. And above it all, Krathok's molten gaze followed them. The true challenge was only beginning. The bar had quieted, but only for a moment. The hovering lights above the cosmic tankard pulsed like a heartbeat, echoing the tension in the room. Aliens of every shape, color, and sighs watched the humans carefully. The arena platform still hummed with energy from the last chaos, but Liam and Rosa had survived, and now the bar seemed curious. "All right," Liam muttered, brushing dust from his jacket. "We need to show them we're more than clumsy invaders." Rosa's jaw tightened. "We do what humans do best, think fast, move faster." They stepped onto the platform again, which Krathok had stabilized. This time, the duel wasn't just about surviving, it was about skill, creativity, and cleverness. The hulking brute from earlier raised its claws, a silent challenge. The smaller aliens hovered around the edges, watching intently. Liam spotted a set of floating crates stacked nearby. He grabbed a tool from his belt and tossed it toward the nearest crate. It struck with a spark, sending the crate spinning. A smaller alien tried to stop it but misjudged its movement and stumbled. The crowd reacted immediately, gasps, chirps, and whispers echoed across the room. Humans had done something unexpected, and the aliens noticed. Rosa grinned, seizing the opportunity. She darted forward, flipping a panel from the platform's edge. It slid across the floor, knocking a hovering drink tray into the air. The liquid exploded in neon sparks, startling several nearby aliens. One of the six-limbed creatures squealed and fell back, clutching its glowing arms. Liam laughed under his breath. "See? Chaos can be an advantage." But this time, it wasn't pure luck. Rosa quickly devised a pattern, using the platform's energy flow, the floating objects, and even the reactions of the aliens, to control the chaos around them. They weren't just surviving anymore, they were leading the spectacle. Krathok's molten eyes narrowed. "Impressive," he rumbled. "But cleverness alone is not enough. You must show skill, precision, adaptability." From the sidelines, the hulking brute roared and lunged. Rosa dodged with a spin, using her momentum to grab a floating drink tray and deflect one of its claws. The impact sent sparks flying, illuminating her determined face. Liam seized the moment, swinging a small metallic rod at another advancing alien, causing it to stumble. The crowd erupted in a mixture of shouts, whistles, and murmurs. Some aliens began leaning forward, curious. Others hissed, frustrated that their expectations were being challenged. Humans were turning the duel into a spectacle, and the bar seemed to respond like a living organism. Rosa spotted an opportunity, a cluster of small crates hovering near the platform's edge. She grabbed one, spinning it with precise timing. It struck the hulking alien's armor, sending it sliding backward. The bar's audience gasped, some flapping wings in surprise. Humans were not just surviving, they were controlling the arena. Liam shouted to her, excitement lacing his voice, "Keep going. They're learning to respect us." Suddenly, one of the smaller aliens, a clever-looking creature with glowing violet skin, approached. It mimicked Rosa's movements, sliding a crate with perfect timing. Then another joined in. Slowly, the humans weren't just fighting the aliens, they were collaborating, in their own way, turning chaos into a coordinated display of cleverness and improvisation. Krathok stepped closer, molten eyes fixed on them. "You learn fast, faster than I expected," he said. "Humans, unusual, yet adaptable." Liam and Rosa exchanged a glance. They realized they weren't just showing skill, they were demonstrating the core human strength, adaptability under pressure. While the aliens relied on brute strength, predictable patterns, and instinct, humans relied on creativity, improvisation, and teamwork. The hulking brute tried to intimidate them again, raising its claws, but this time, Liam and Rosa didn't panic. They worked in perfect sync. Liam distracted the creature by throwing a metallic panel toward it, while Rosa spun a crate that struck its side. The brute stumbled, surprised by the human's coordination. Even Krathok seemed impressed. "Perhaps, humans are not weak as I thought. They fight, differently. Cleverly. Unpredictably. Respect, earned by wit, not by strength." The bar erupted into cheers, or the alien equivalent. Lights flashed, drinks floated higher, and even the music shifted into a triumphant rhythm. Humans had survived the first duel and turned it into a display of dominance through skill, not force. Rosa panted, wiping sweat from her brow. We did it," she said, voice trembling with excitement. Liam laughed, adrenaline still rushing. "We did more than survive. We made them notice us. That's the first step. Respect follows next." Crathawk's molten gaze swept the room. "You have proven cleverness, skill, and adaptability. But your journey here is only beginning. Many challenges remain. Strength, cunning, and wit will all be tested. And humans," he paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "You are already unusual enough to survive this far." The humans stood tall on the platform, exhausted but exhilarated. Around them, the aliens murmured and whispered. Some were clearly impressed. Others were wary. One thing was certain, humans were no longer just intruders. They had shown the capacity to survive, and even manipulate, the chaotic world of the cosmic tankard. Rosa adjusted her tool belt. "Next steps?" she asked, still breathing heavily. Liam looked around at the pulsing lights, the floating objects, and the now curious alien crowd. "Next step is learning everything we can. This bar, these aliens, they're teaching us. And when the real challenge comes, we'll be ready." The bar itself seemed to acknowledge their success. The pulsing lights slowed slightly, music softened, and even the hulking brute gave a short nod before stepping back. Humans had earned temporary respect in a place where most visitors were crushed in moments. Crathawk's deep voice cut through the moment of calm. "Prepare yourselves, for the trials ahead. The cosmic tankard does not forgive the unprepared. And you, humans, are far from prepared." But inside, both Liam and Rosa knew something vital. Humans thrived under pressure, adapted under chaos, and never gave up. That alone might be enough to survive the rest of the night. And somewhere deep in the neon-lit arena, they felt the first spark of true confidence. Not fear. Not panic. Confidence. Humans had entered an alien world unarmed, outnumbered, and underestimated. But now, they had shown the bar, and the universe, that humans were clever, resilient, and impossible to predict. The duel had ended, but the war of respect and survival was far from over. And for the first time, the humans felt a strange thrill. They were not just fighting for survival, they were beginning to leave their mark. The lights of the cosmic tankard dimmed, leaving the central arena bathed in a harsh, violet glow. Every alien patron leaned forward, their eyes narrowing, claws tapping, wings flaring in anticipation. The music slowed, replaced by a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through the floor, and through Liam and Rosa's chests. Crathawk stepped forward, molten eyes blazing. His massive form cast a shadow over the humans. "This is no longer a test of cleverness alone," he rumbled, voice echoing like rolling boulders. "Now, you face the duel of skill, strength, and wit. Fail, and your presence here ends. Succeed, and humans earn a place among the remarkable." The platform beneath them shifted again, tilting slightly. Holographic walls flickered to life, creating an arena filled with traps and obstacles. Floating spikes, swirling energy fields, and panels of sharp light moved in unpredictable patterns. Every step required attention, one mistake could throw them off balance, or worse. Liam glanced at Rosa. "We improvise, we survive, we adapt. We've done it before. We can do it again." Rosa nodded, tightening her grip on her tool, a multi-purpose device she had been using to deflect attacks and manipulate floating objects. "Let's make it count." From the shadows, the hulking brute from earlier stepped forward, now joined by two other massive aliens, each taller and faster than the humans. Their claws gleamed, and their movements were precise, practiced. This duel was designed to overwhelm. The first wave struck immediately. One of the aliens lunged at Liam, claws swinging. Liam twisted, grabbing a floating panel mid-air and slamming it into the creature's path. Sparks flew, the alien staggered, and Liam ducked under a sharp swipe from its second claw. Rosa leapt over a hovering crate, slamming it into another alien who had advanced toward her. Chaos reigned, but this time, the humans were ready. Rosa noticed an energy conduit running along the platform's edge. Liam. That's the power source, I can reroute it, she shouted. Liam nodded, ducking under a swinging tail-like appendage. Do it. Rosa lunged, opening the conduit and twisting a few wires. Sparks erupted, but the effect was immediate. Some of the obstacles in the arena shifted unpredictably, catching the alien attackers off guard. One stumbled into a spinning panel, another's claws got tangled in a floating chain. Humans had turned the environment into a weapon. The bar's patrons erupted in excitement. This was no longer just a duel, it was a display of strategy, creativity, and sheer adaptability. Humans had proven they were more than fragile, they were dangerous in a clever, unpredictable way. Crathawk observed quietly from above. His molten gaze followed every move. Humans, still fragile, yet, remarkably, adaptable, he muttered. Another wave of attacks came, faster this time. The hulking brute lunged toward Liam, but Liam pivoted and sent a metallic rod spinning into the alien's side. The impact staggered it, giving Rosa a chance to fling a glowing orb from the floor. It struck the third alien, sending it sprawling. Keep moving. Liam shouted, dodging a swinging claw. We confuse them, we control the chaos. They moved in sync, instinctively understanding each other's timing. One human would distract, the other would manipulate the environment. Floating panels, crates, and energy conduits became extensions of their bodies. Each alien attack was met with a counter, sometimes direct, sometimes clever misdirection. The arena became a dance of chaos and control. Sparks flew, panels spun, drinks floated, and holographic lights cast shifting shadows. The audience watched, entranced, as humans defied every expectation. Finally, Crathawk stepped forward, raising one massive claw. The music shifted into a slow, ominous rhythm. Enough of distractions. Face me, one-on-one. Liam and Rosa exchanged a glance. The hulking brute and other assistants stepped back, leaving only the towering alien before them. This was the true test, not luck, not improvisation, but direct confrontation with the strongest being in the bar. Crathawk lunged, claws cutting through the air like molten blades. Liam ducked, rolling toward a floating panel and flipping it up like a shield. Rosa threw a glowing orb, hitting Crathawk's side. Sparks erupted, but the alien barely flinched. Its eyes blazed, measuring, calculating. Humans fight, differently, unpredictable, clever, Crathawk growled. Liam and Rosa realized that brute strength would never win here. They needed speed, timing, and misdirection. Liam kicked a floating crate at Crathawk, drawing his attention. Rosa ducked behind another, twisting a control panel that sent a blast of energy into the platform. Crathawk roared, staggering slightly. Humans had found a weakness, not in brute force, but in environment manipulation. Step by step, they controlled the flow of the duel. Crathawk's attacks became predictable when he tried to correct the chaos. Liam led him into a floating conduit, Rosa triggered a spark burst, and the towering alien stumbled. Finally, with one coordinated maneuver, Liam and Rosa forced Crathawk onto a tilted platform. A glowing panel spun into place, blocking him momentarily, while a floating crate tapped his massive side. The crowd gasped. The mighty Crathawk had been outsmarted, not overpowered. Crathawk froze, molten eyes narrowing. Slowly, he straightened, claws lowering. The bar fell silent. Every alien watched, waiting for judgment. You survive, not by strength, but by wit, Crathawk rumbled. Clever, unpredictable, adaptable. Respect, earned. Liam exhaled, adrenaline still coursing. Rosa wiped sweat from her brow, laughing despite herself. We actually did it. The bar erupted into cheers, flaps, hisses, and whistles. Aliens of every kind acknowledged the humans, not just as survivors, but as worthy participants in the arena of skill. They had entered as intruders, they had fought against impossible odds, and they had won respect through their unique humanity. Crathawk stepped back, towering and formidable, yet now with a hint of approval in his molten gaze. Humans, perhaps there is more to your species than I understood. You adapt, survive, and even triumph when impossible. The cosmic tankard has seen few like you. Liam smiled, looking at Rosa. We made it. Not just alive, respected. Rosa nodded, exhaustion and exhilaration washing over her. Yeah. And they'll remember it too. Humans, unpredictable, clever, unstoppable. Crathawk turned to the crowd, voice booming. Let all patrons witness this, humans are not mere visitors. They are cunning, adaptable, dangerous in their own way. Respect them. The arena's lights pulsed in approval, and for the first time, Liam felt the thrill of victory in a world utterly alien and hostile. Humans had proven themselves. Not through brute force, but through creativity, courage, and cunning. And in the heart of the cosmic tankard, a new truth was written: humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans win. The cheers in the cosmic tankard were deafening, or at least, the alien equivalent of it. Lights flashed, colors shifted across the walls, and the floor pulsed in sync with the roaring excitement of the crowd. Liam and Rosa stood at the center of the arena, bruised, scorched, and exhausted, but alive. Crathawk, the towering alien with molten eyes, stepped forward. His presence alone made the room fall silent. He regarded the humans with a mixture of awe and approval. You have survived chaos, endured attack, and mastered the arena of skill. You have proven yourself not through brute strength, but through wit, creativity, and adaptability. Humans, respect is yours. The bar erupted again, cheers, flaps, clicks, and whistles filled the space. Aliens of all shapes and sizes leaned closer, some clapping claws together, others bowing slightly. Even the hulking brute and his assistants gave short nods of acknowledgement. Liam exhaled deeply. We actually did it, he said, voice shaking. He looked at Rosa, who was smiling despite sweat and dirt smeared across her face. We survived, and they respect us. Rosa laughed softly. We didn't just survive. We turned chaos into our advantage. They learned to respect humans, not because we were strong, but because we were clever. Crathawk's gaze swept across the room. Let all patrons know, these humans are not intruders. They are extraordinary. Let their actions tonight remind everyone that survival requires more than raw power, it requires thought, courage, and ingenuity. The crowd reacted, a mixture of awe and excitement. Some of the multi-eyed lizards leaned closer to inspect the humans. The winged aliens hovered gracefully, nodding in approval. Even the translucent-skinned creatures smiled faintly, acknowledging that humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. One smaller alien approached, violet-skinned and six-limbed, offering a glowing orb as a token. Rosa hesitated, then accepted it. The orb pulsed warmly in her hand, a gesture of trust and recognition. Liam nodded respectfully. Humans had earned not just survival, but acceptance. This is incredible, Liam muttered. He looked around the bar, noticing details he hadn't before, neon signs shifting like liquid, floating objects moving gracefully, and the subtle interplay of light that made every alien and every movement mesmerizing. We crashed into a bar on an alien planet, and somehow we became part of it. Rosa's grin widened. Not part of it. Humans left a mark. They won't forget us, ever. Crathawk gestured toward the bar's entrance. You may stay here if you wish. But the world beyond this tankard is vast. Danger awaits at every corner. Humans, you are clever, yes, but always vigilant. Adaptability will keep you alive. The humans nodded, understanding the weight of his words. The bar was a microcosm of the galaxy itself, unpredictable, dangerous, and full of challenges. But if humans could survive here, they could survive anywhere. As Liam and Rosa moved toward the edge of the arena, the patrons began to approach, not with aggression, but with curiosity and camaraderie. One of the winged aliens offered a drink that shimmered in green and purple hues. Liam took it cautiously, nodding in thanks. Rosa clinked her orb against it in a silent toast. Around them, conversation buzzed. Aliens asked questions in gestures and simple sounds. Liam tried to communicate, pointing to themselves, to their ship, to Earth. Slowly, understanding grew. The humans were not just guests, they were stories, legends in the making. A small group of aliens, previously hostile, now hovered nearby, curious about humans' reactions to the tankard's chaos. One lizard-like creature tapped its claws rhythmically, almost in rhythm with the humans' movements. Liam smiled. They're trying to connect. They're interested. Rosa's eyes sparkled. Exactly. This bar, it's more than a place to drink. It's a society. And tonight, humans earned a place in it. Not by fighting harder, but by thinking smarter. Crathawk's voice cut through the ambient hum of conversation. Remember this lesson, humans. Strength without cunning is fragile. Power without strategy is fleeting. You have shown cunning. You have shown strategy. And for that, you are remembered. For the first time since crashing on this strange, hostile planet, Liam felt a deep sense of accomplishment, not just relief. Humans were more than survivors. They were clever, adaptable, and capable of triumph in the face of unimaginable odds. The bar's neon lights shifted, creating patterns that reflected on the humans' faces. Floating objects moved aside to give them space. Even the hulking brute stepped forward, offering a short bow, a gesture of respect. Liam glanced at Rosa. We came here by accident. But now, we leave a legacy. Rosa nodded. And we've learned something vital, humans are not meant to follow. Humans are meant to survive, adapt, and thrive, even in worlds that seem impossible. As the humans prepared to leave, Crathawk spoke one last time. Humans, remember this tankard. Remember the lessons. And remember this, cleverness, courage, and adaptability, these are the marks of your kind. Respect is earned, not given. And tonight, you earned it. Liam smiled faintly. We'll remember. And maybe, we'll come back. Humans don't forget a challenge, or a place where they were tested and survived. Rosa laughed softly. I can't wait for the look on their faces when we return. The humans stepped toward the exit, leaving behind the chaotic, neon-lit bar that had become a crucible of survival. Around them, the patrons whispered and gestured, retelling the story in their own alien ways. Humans had not just survived, they had impressed, inspired, and left a mark on an alien world. Outside, the air smelled faintly of ozone and alien spice. The Orion Hawk waited, still battered but intact. Liam and Rosa climbed aboard, taking one last look at the glowing city. Tonight, humans had entered as intruders. Tomorrow, they would be known as the clever, unstoppable species that survived the cosmic tankard. And as the engines roared to life, Liam whispered, humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans, win. Rosa smiled, gripping the controls. And humans, always leave a mark. Above the alien city, the neon lights pulsed one last time before fading into the distance. Humans had earned respect, survived chaos, and proven that no matter how strange or hostile the universe might be, human ingenuity and courage would always shine through. The bar faded behind them, but the memory, and the lesson, would stay. Humans were not just survivors of alien chaos. They were clever, unpredictable, and impossible to underestimate. And somewhere deep in the universe, the story of two humans crashing an alien bar, and winning, would spread.